Hey ladies, so today we are on day 4 of week 2. The title of this lesson is From Jacob to Israel. So Angie starts off by saying, I so wish I could be sitting with you right this minute, chatting over what we've covered so far. If I were, I would make sure to get your attention, and I'd probably have tears in my eyes at this point. I know that sounds silly, but the truth is that all of these stories, they aren't just black words on white paper. They're the backbone of the faith we can now claim as our own. These are real people God hand selected to be a part of the lineage that would lead to the Messiah, Jesus. So in yesterday's lesson, we learned about the wrestling match between Jacob and God and the spectacular moment when he received a new name. It's a name with significance, to say the least, Israel. But Israel still has to face his brother and has no reason to believe this meeting will go well. Read Genesis 33, 1 through 4. How does Esau respond to seeing Jacob? 33, 1 through 4. And Jacob lifted his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men. And he divided the children unto Leah, and unto Rachel, and unto the 2 handmaidens. And he put the handmaidens and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost. And he passed over before them, and bowed himself to the ground 7 times, until he came near to his brother. And Esau ran to meet him, and embraced him, and fell on his neck, and kissed him, and they wept. So the question is, how does Esau respond to seeing Jacob? Not in any way that he expected. So it says Esau ran to Jacob, embraced him, threw his arms around his neck, and kissed him, and they wept. Crisis averted, right? Where does God tell Jacob to take his family? Genesis 35 and 1. And God said unto Jacob, Arise, go up to Bethel, and dwell there, and make there an altar unto God that appeared unto thee when thou fleetest from the face of Esau thy brother. So he tells him to go to Bethel. Okay, this says, let's take ownership of our knowledge here and repeat after me. We're not afraid of maps. Mark the route Jacob took on the map on page 53. I'll just let everybody do that in your books if you've not already done it. If you want to go ahead and take the time to do it, you can pause me if you want. And go ahead and do that and just follow and go to Haran, Canaan, Peniel, Shechem, and Bethel. Okay. Back to Jacob and the crew. They're obeying God and heading from Bethel to Ephrath, later known as Bethlehem. These people move more than anyone I know when something dramatic happens. Read Genesis 35, 16 through 20 and record the 2 major events that happen simultaneously. So verse 16, and they journeyed from Bethel, and there was but a little way to come to Ephrath. And Rachel travailed, and she had hard labor. And it was come to pass, when she was in hard labor, that the midwife said unto her, Fear not, thou shalt have this son also. And it came to pass, as her soul was in departing, for she died, that she called his name Benoni, but his father called him Benjamin. And Rachel died, and was buried in the way of to Ephrath, which is Bethlehem. And Jacob set a pillar upon her grave, that is the pillar of Rachel's grave unto this day. So that tells us that Rachel went into labor with Benjamin. So Benjamin was born and Rachel passed away in those verses. Okay, it says, let's take a teeny break for a minute. I wonder if you're doing this work, reading the verses, and still wondering when this is going to go somewhere. Because as far as you can see, these are just names of people that don't mean a lick to you. Maybe not, but in the event that you do feel that way, I want to have a chit chat before we move on. Every one of these names is important and will shape your understanding of the entire scope of Scripture. Not just that, but your understanding of Christianity too. I know it sounds like a big claim, but it's true. One day, a few weeks from now, you're going to be reading passages in the New Testament and a huge smile is going to spread across your face because they finally make sense in context. Pinky promise. So stay tuned, do your work, it'll be worth it. I, myself, do not feel like it's been a waste of time, that these are just names. And I look forward to seeing how it all comes together later once we get all these names in our hearts and in our minds, and we're able to move on to the next part. Okay, so she says, now back to business. Hopefully that pep talk geared you up for the last exercise of the day, because it's a big one. You're going to fill out the names of all of Jacob's, now called Israel, sons. Are you ready? Okay, so it says to read Genesis 35:23 through 26 and fill this in. So, the sons of Leah, and I will not pronounce these right. I'm positive I won't, so just bear with me, and I'd say correct me, but you can't. So you're just gonna have to listen me stumble across them and say I'm wrong, but we'll make it through. The sons of Leah, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, Simon and Levi, and Judah and Issachar and Zebulun. So those would be the names that go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 would be Reuben, Simon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. Okay, so then we go over to the sons of Rachel in verse 23. The sons of Rachel, Joseph, Benjamin. She only had two, Joseph and Benjamin. Bilhah's, Rachel's handmaiden, had Dan and Naphtali. Again, I apologize to these people for messing their names up so bad. Okay, Zilpah's sons, which is Leah's maidservant, had Gad and Asher. So those are the answers to those. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so next paragraph. That is a total of 12. And these 12 are considered the 12 tribes of Israel. Kind of. I'll explain that in a minute. And I did not know any of this. Some of you probably did if you've looked up the 12 tribes, but I've never even thought of the 12 tribes of Israel being the 12 tribes of Jacob. I never realized that before. Okay. Because they are the 12 children of the man named Israel. Forgive me if that's obvious, but it wasn't always the case for me. Me neither, Angie. I get it. Now stick with me for a second, because this is going to get a little tricky. Each of these fellows is going to father a tribe that will in turn get a plot of land. But the breakdown looks a little bit different from the list above. And I want you to understand why. So Levi's tribe will be priest, and they aren't going to get land because the Lord himself is considered their land. So that means only 11 get land. So Levi's tribe doesn't get land. Knocks it down to 11. But wait, there's more. Remember Joseph, who was Jacob's favorite. He's not going to get land either. But it's not because he isn't special. It's because he was so special that each of his sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, will get their own land. So in a sense, he doubled up. When we take away Levi and Joseph from the mix, but add Manasseh and Ephraim, we get back to our total of 12. The list is The lists vary a little depending on which book of the Bible you're reading, but they always work out to be 12. It's not urgently important that you understand the details of the breakdown, but when you see what looks like a discrepancy from one book to the other, the books being Deuteronomy and Genesis, this is the reason for the difference. Understand? Good. Next up, the golden boy Joseph. So tomorrow's lesson will be about Joseph. It's a good lesson. I've already done it, but I will wait until tomorrow to share that. And we're getting closer to being done with week 2. So love y'all, and I will see you tomorrow.